the spotlight again, I'm afraid, this morning is on Marcus. It was reported just that Erik Ten Hag and Rashford are barely on speaking terms after recent events, namely the strikers Bender and Belfast last month. Just a quick one, Tim. I believe Marcus was very, very big buddies with Jadon Sancho, and I think he feels, from what I hear, that he thought Sancho was treated very unfairly.
Well, that can be a problem, yeah. If that was his mate, I was surprised how Ten Hag dealt with the Sancho thing. I really was, because I felt that there's a player in there. I know he's not done great when he's gone to Dortmund now, but I just felt sometimes, especially when you're struggling for numbers of quality in your squad, you might have to just bite the bullet, put your arm around someone, and try and get the best out of them for the greater of the need of the club.
Yeah.
And I don't think Erik tends to do that, and if Marcus has been Sancho's friend, then he's obviously feels a little bit aggrieved, but he's got to bury that, Marcus. He can't worry about that. He needs to look after his own future. At the moment, his career is sleepwalking a little bit, and there's still a real talented boy in there, and he needs to get the best out of himself.
Tim, is that still a part of Premiership management, that you can put an arm around someone? Man management, because I feel it's gone out of the game now, but do you think it's still a very, it's not all about Sergeant Major. You've got to be able to talk to people and find out what the problem is.
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think man management's huge. I think you see from Jurgen Klopp the beauty of that. I think when you're Pep Guardiola, you can talk to him how you want, really. I don't think he does. I think he's very good with them as well, but when you've got that much quality, if someone's not training right or the attitude's not right, you just leave them out and bring in another world-class player. So you've got the beauty of doing that. But I think when you're managing teams in the middle of the table or lower end, you have to, you can't just go and buy superstars all the time. You have to sometimes get the best out of someone who's there who you might not necessarily like. And in the long-term view, you could speak to your head of recruitment or your sporting director and say, we need to get this kid out. But at the moment, I'm going to tell him some things I don't necessarily believe.
How difficult, I want to hear from Ten Hag in a moment, and I will get there, but how difficult, Tim, as a manager, you speak to your director of football, get he's not in my plans, he's not good enough, get him out. But when you want someone in, can you kick the door down and say, please, you've got to get me, if we've got money, I need him? Or are you just have to put up with what you're getting?
Well, everyone works differently, but it's more of that, nor the latter. It seems to be at the moment, Al. But I think when you want a player out, very difficult. Let's take Chelsea for an example. If they brought that player in before you've come to the club, and he's on an 8-year contract and he's on a lot of money, I mean, good luck at trying to get that kid away, because he would just sit there on his contract and very cosy. They give him too much too early, and they become soft and too lack of desire to want to get on that field and play. You put them in the squad at the weekend, and you're almost interfering with their social life.
Well, but what I don't get, Tim, is, let's say director of football said, I've got you this player from Ajax, right? Bang, there you go.
Yeah.
And you look at him, you look at the way he plays, when he's best, you say, well, I don't play that system. I'm not changing my system for a new player that you brought into my club.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. Like, let's go to Manchester United, Ten Hag. If I was recruitment or sporting director of Manchester United at the moment, I wouldn't know what characteristics he wants for which players in each position, because he hasn't got a playing style.
No.
If I could scout tomorrow for Guardiola, I could scout tomorrow for Jurgen Klopp. I know the characteristics of all the players. I know how he wants to play. Yeah, with a fluid free up top and all that. And it's easy for me to go out there. Now, Ten Hag needs to give him a clue, and also a point regarding him as well. He knew a lot of the players who he's brought into that football club, and they're still not playing them because of different reasons, and they might be off-field reasons as well. The due diligence has to be done properly. There's a lot of money we're talking about. You cannot waste it. So there's a lot of work to be done in the background at a lot of football clubs, especially Chelsea and Manchester United.
Okay, here's Ten Hag last night, his assessment of Marcus Rashford's performance.
He's doing the job for the team, and probably he's better coming from the left. But yeah, as long as Rasmus Højlund is not available, he has to fill in the position, and he has done well. He was in positions to score a goal twice. He was there. I think also were good finishes. for the rest also, he worked for the team, made connections, linked up the play, defending, he did well. So yeah, good game.
Well, currently stats, Marcus played the entire game, yes. Touched the ball only 31 times, didn't complete a single dribble during the 110 odd minutes, right? Can I have your say on this? 03717 223344. Steve's called us, a Manchester United man. Steve, very good morning, Steve.
Morning, Steve.
Good morning to you both. Great show as always.
Thank you.
The thing with Marcus Rashford, I just think he is too fragile. Last year, he's scoring goals for fun. He's running up to the touchline, putting his finger to his head, gesturing about positive mental attitude. And then this season, a few things obviously haven't gone his way, and his form's dipped, and all of a sudden he really, really can't cope with it. But I think there's, a lot of interesting points out of the stuff that you've said. Manchester United is in turmoil. I do think that Erik ten Hag has put arms around people like Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford. I do think he has done that. But, there comes a point where it has to be, like you say, a lot of money is being spent here. And these guys have to take responsibility for doing their job well. And I don't know if Jim Ratcliffe's thinking new manager at the end of the season, someone who can, better mollycoddle, the likes of Jadon Sancho. But again, Jadon Sancho, he has to take responsibility for training. Everyone said, you get picked based on how you're training. And
mind you, Steve, I heard he trained all right. This is what, you just wonder who's telling the truth here. People have said to me, no, he's been picked on. He was training fine. That's what worries me, Tim. What do you make of
Steve? Steve, if you were Jim Ratcliffe, would you trust the manager Erik ten Hag with any more money to spend on his track record of bringing in players at this moment in time?
Look, Erik ten Hag's got his own questions to answer. He brought Anthony in. The way he dealt with David De Gea was scandalous. He's got his own questions to answer. Do I think Erik ten Hag's all of a sudden a terrible manager? No, I don't. I think we have to look at a lot of the injuries and other stuff that we've had. But he has to take responsibility for some of the purchases that he has pushed through. You can't think that a scouting system went off and looked at Anthony and said, yeah, this guy's ready to go. He fits £90 million bosh. It must have been Erik ten Hag that said, no, I want this player. I know I'll take responsibility for this player. I want this player. I don't know. I think for me a little bit, I want to stick with the manager. But I also think to myself, he has to take responsibility for some of the purchases.
Steve, let me move on, Steve. I appreciate your call. Thank you. Jonathan's on the line. Jonathan, good morning.
Good morning,
Good
guys.
morning, mate.
How are you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you, Jonathan? All good, I hope?
All good. Looking forward to Cheltenham, Alan, as usual.
Well, aren't we all, eh? Aren't we all? What about last night? What about your team, Jonathan? Come on.
They're poor. They're extremely poor. When the manager comes out and says we were resilient, we're paying Nottingham Forest. We're playing a poor team. Luckily, I never got a ticket, so I had to watch it on TV. It's just poor. We need to sell Rashford. It's the time to sell Rashford. PSG is selling Mbappe. They have lots of money and they fancy Rashford. We can get good money for him. He needs to go. And unfortunately, the manager needs to join him. Again, Steve had an excellent point. £82 million for Anthony. Right. You guys are footballers. I'm not a footballer, but I watch football. After 2 games, I thought, hold on. Was 82 million quid on a right winger that can't go outside the fullback? Yep. What's that about? All he does is goes inside and shoots. Now that was the manager's buy. He insisted on Anthony.
Yeah.
Also, unfortunately, even though he's supremely talented, Bruno's not a leader. He whinges. He slaps the floor. Yeah. We've got a team of brats. The trouble with United these days is We win games from moments of individual brilliance, like when Garnacho did the overhead kick.
Yeah.
We're not a team. We have individuals who one day will fire, the others they don't. I like Ratcliffe. I like what he's saying. I really hope it's not true that we're after Zinedine Zidane to come and manage us, because he's never managed in the Premier. I just don't think he's the man. Yes, we've sacked a lot of managers, but Ten Hag's not up to the job. I mean...
So, Jonathan, I'm sorry I'm out of time, but you're saying basically, Marcus, it's time to leave, and the manager should go as well.
100%.
All right, Jonathan, thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Enjoyed Cheltenham, pal. Right. Believe it or not, Tim, I'll say this and we'll come back to it. If Ten Hag wins the FA Cup this season, he will become the first Man United manager in history to win a trophy in each of his first 2 seasons in charge. What about that?
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.